Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday for tonight's episode of Cantrips, Tome Knowledge, where we talk about D&D and all things related to D&D and based on whatever our hearts tell us to talk about. So tonight, we're going to be talking about D&D and digital tools, digital enhancements, digital things, how it changes the game, and all of that. Maybe you'll learn something new. Maybe we'll learn something new about some of the players and what they like and don't like.
I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
I'm here to talk some shit. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. Go for it. Hey, talk as much shit as you want, man. Couple things I'll say though is we are at, what did I just say, 3,300 watch hours on YouTube.
You did,
close
yes.
to our goal of 4,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're super close. Once we hit 4,000, we can apply. I shouldn't say we will become. We'll apply to become YouTube partners.
Yes.
From experienced people I've talked to, it'll take about a month for them to check out your channel and then make sure that you're not a dummy, I guess. And then from there,
I believe they manually vet each partnership, so they have to check the videos, check the stats, the data, all that kind of things.
And then our podcast, we're a few listens away from 3,600 listens as well. So thank you all for watching and listening. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel, please do go subscribe if you haven't. Watch some videos.
The like button.
Watch the entire campaign 2 playlist all at once.
What's it? You hit the bell? Yeah, hit the bell, smash it, or gently tap it on your mobile device.
Gently caress the bell.
Yeah. Yeah, don't smash. Why unless you're angry, smash it. But if you're in a jovial mood, just caress it.
Sure. High five it, even though it doesn't have any hands to five you back. I guess it'd just be a slap, wouldn't it? If you high five something like something that's inanimate and it can't high five you back.
Sure.
Your face, yes, you're just like, what the fuck, guys? Like,
I'm just thinking
this is
about
how we promote the channel, VS. This is how
I know.
we're win the day.
Just thinking about all the different ways I've heard people say to hit the bell, smash the bell, punch the bell.
Pinky tap, on mobile device.
Uppercut.
Click it. Flick the bell. Have you heard that one? That's something else. Hold on. Let's not talk about that.
We're not that kind of podcast, man. Not that kind of podcast. So let's talk about digital tools with D&D. First, I want to hear everyone's opinion. And I know VS, you mostly have a digital as your experience with D&D, but I'm still curious. Do you all prefer like online or in-person D&D? What do you prefer?
That's tough because obviously in person I think is a better experience, and you're able to like read off people's body languages, stuff like that, a lot easier. And then I think it's more so about just hanging out while playing D&D, and having that kind of like human social interaction. But for us, because our show is streamed and all of us are scattered across the states here, digital makes the most perfect sense for us.
I doing it online is the only experience I have with it. That said, I would love to play in person one day. I mean, I enjoy everything we do on our channel. It's a lot of fun, even with being separated and having to do it online. But yeah, it'd be fun to just sit around a big old table and just everybody's watching them as they roll dice and watching the DM in person scheme stuff. I know. I just think it would be fun. There's a certain allure to in-person D&D. I think that it maybe it's not as much there when you're playing online, but online's still fun.
I think I prefer online D&D. And so I played D&D. I mean, I started first time I was in college and then played off and on after that. But I think the majority of like my D&D playing was during the pandemic or slightly before, and I was all online. Um Also, the last time I played D&D in person, I almost died. So
What?
that's what I had. That's what I had the whole kidney thing going on, and that's when the bad stuff really happened. I was actually playing D&D when that happened.
Oh,
It was just, I think it's funny just to say that the last time I played D&D in person, I almost died, but it has nothing to do with it.
You die in the game, you die in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That's when Bun knew something was really wrong with me because I couldn't play D&D anymore. I had to go lay down. But I think from like a player standpoint, because um there's some in-person games that I play more recently than that, to full disclosure. But I don't know, like I think I like online. I like all the things that the digital tools have to offer. I think as a DM, especially online makes my life a lot easier.
Uh,
Um
I could see
I think
that.
yeah, definitely on the DM side, 100% easier because you could just look up things with the click of a button. But I think there's one is not better than the other. It's like
yeah.
whatever works best for your group. But also, there's each one has their own pros and cons. But then there's also hybrid. I In
Mhm.
my in-person group, we have analog people and we got digital people. So there's people with their tablets, they got laptops. I'm an analog person. I like to have the book and the character sheet in front of me with the pencil. And but just yeah, we just for that group we do hybrid. And if sometimes someone can't make it due to whatever reason, but they said, "Hey, can I remote in?" I have a webcam set up in
Mhm.
my garage so they can still join the in-person session.
I hate, like, I'm even an in person, I'm a tablet kind of guy. I hate having to like erase shit off my character sheet and like scratch it out and put stuff on. Oh, took more damage, scratch it out. Like, I hate doing that. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just like a messy like
Post-its.
writer.
Post-its are your friends. I put a
Yeah.
post-it over the HP, and then when that fills up, I can erase it or I can just put on a new post-it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I didn't think about. I guess when I was thinking about playing in person, I was just picturing everybody with like a tablet or with like D&D Beyond on their phone or something.
Hmm.
I
It's usually
wasn't.
the case, yeah.
I didn't. I almost forgot that you could do like actual character sheets with a pencil.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know if I would be doing the actual pencil writing
Well,
unless it
the
was like a
reason
one shot, maybe. Like a one
yeah.
shot game.
I mean, for me, the reason I am analog is because I don't have a laptop or a tablet, and,
You got a phone, don't you?
yeah, but I don't wanna
You guys
pay
have phones,
for
right?
apps to have character sheets and access to the books because fuck that, I have the physical
Oh,
books, why would I you know what I mean?
yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah, I don't wanna pay apps is basically my thing, to be able to, like, have access to everything I need while
Hmm.
I'm playing in person when I already own the books.
Yeah, I feel like that in the next generation of D&D that they're going to have to include something when you buy a physical book. It's a logistical nightmare, but
Yep.
like buying physical books and then having to rebuy them just to do D&D Beyond, like that's silly.
I mean, they could easily include a code with the book.
Yeah, then you have to shrink wrap every single book that comes in, otherwise people will look through it and just take the code and leave the book. And then I think that they lose the appeal of being able to flip through the new book kind of thing. I don't know.
Mm,
I agree it should be included, but
I mean, they've done it before. Like, this is not a new
mhm,
concept. Like, tons of companies have shrink wrap stuff that includes a digital code. It's not. Yes, it's probably more expensive because they have to individually shrink wrap each book. But
Yeah.
every store, every hobby store, gaming store should have a sample of an open book and people can flip through it. But
Hmm. Hey, Hustle
And
Cat, how are you?
oh, yo,
it's either that or like what the individual stores in charge of that. Like somebody buys a D&D book, say, here's your at the counter, here's your free D&D Beyond code.
Hmm.
I guess is another way to do it, but
yeah, that's true. You just go to a portal and you have to enter your SKU or whatever that's in the book. I mean, you still have to shrink wrap the book, or because people just open it and steal the SKU.
It's I mean like the same thing, but
I was
Yeah.
thinking at the time of purchase, but
yeah,
Oh,
you mean like the person behind the counter says, "All right, here's your code," and like
yeah.
hand you something.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
That's,
also doable.
hmm
But that's still they still have to then do printing for that.
Hmm. It's gonna have to do that though. They're gonna have to. I've got a couple talking points of kind of like digital tools and like online versus offline type stuff. I think one of the big things, like the big boons of playing like online and using digital tools are just like convenience and like accessibility, right? Because unless you have like a steady group, it's hard to find a group to go play locally, especially like if you don't live in a super populated area. um the people like your pool of potential D&D groups can shrink very quickly. I have experienced this.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know there's available resources where you can find groups to play D&D. It's weird cuz I have a story where my friend lived in an apartment complex and they had like this bulletin board and you could put on stuff. And on the bulletin board he put up testing mechanics for like a card game he was making and needed feedback. And so I was like, who's gonna someone's gotta be super nerdy to respond to that, right? And then someone did. Someone responded to it. And they like played this card game and then found out he liked the Dungeons and Dragons, and now he's like in our group and like one of our good friends. So
Nice.
it's like so there's like physical ways of finding groups.
Yeah.
I think one of the new hot things they're having. I don't know if it's hot, but there's a lot of breweries who are like very board game nerdy themed, so they would
Hmm.
have they would hire like professional GMs to go to this bar and run games for people. So that's like
Hmm.
another thing that's like kind of popping up.
That's an interesting
Well,
one.
I played D&D when 5th edition was D&D Next when they were beta testing it, and then our local game shop did like games. They had someone who also worked there and ran games, and like anybody who wanted to play could play kind of thing. And that was okay for a little bit. But I guess the negative thing there is can't really vet anybody that kind of jumps in. So we had a couple times where we had like that kind of player. We were just like,
Yeah, that's the unfortunate side things, and I think that happens regardless if you're in person or
yeah,
even digital. 'Cause I know people like go on Reddit and for looking for groups. There's like Discord
yep,
servers. Uh,
LFG r/LFG.
yep, people looking to play games, but yeah, it's like almost impossible to avoid, people like that.
Yeah.
See, the only reason I haven't pursued like an in-person group is because like I'm super introverted and extremely shy. So
Hmm.
the idea of approaching people I don't know and being like, "Hey, I want to play. Is D&D going on here ever?" Like if I go to a game store, I don't see myself doing that.
Hmm. Hey, what's up, Zeus?
I don't know if I
Yeah.
Yeah,
could.
sometimes you just gotta take that jump, and then maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm,
if you come visit VS, I'll do an in-person D&D game just for you.
okay, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I'll drive over or vice versa.
Yeah, well,
All
if you get a
right.
new table, but that's a whole different story.
Zeus is gonna drive out for that.
Yeah, I bet he would. That is that. Yeah, it's not too far for you either. So yeah, I that's what I like about online, of just also convenience too. Kind of what I had on the list next were sort of the virtual like tabletop platforms and kind of what they offer. So there's like several different flavors, right? There's like Foundry virtual tabletop, which is what we use on the channel.
Mhm.
It's just hosted by another site, like Roll20, Fantasy Grounds. I can't. There's more. I can't think of any more at the moment though. A couple others have popped up, kind of smaller niche. Those are kind of the
Um,
main three.
I actually know some groups who actually use um virtual tabletop from Steam to
Oh
play
yeah, I didn't. I
D&D.
should have
So
known that. Yeah.
you can make so it's like a 3D. It's basically what Beyond D&D is trying to do now. But essentially, yeah, I know a group who plays through virtual tabletop on the PCs.
Sounds awful. I just don't like virtual tabletop's fine, but like I no, not for me for D&D.
There's a ton here. Let's take a yeah. Roll 20 is probably one of the big ones. Uh, Fantasy Grounds, Foundry, which we
We
discussed,
yeah,
Tabletop Simulator.
we stopped using
Yeah,
Roll20 because their support or lack thereof for animated maps is just garbage, and we had to use like a third party extension that didn't work, so that's when we went over to Foundry because it's built
Ice
with them in mind.
Weaver, Shard. Yeah, there's a bunch I've never heard of before.
Yeah, we
Tailspire,
only what did we do like a
above
session or
DPC.
two on Roll20, and that was like it.
I want to say it was a
It
little
wasn't very
before
many,
midway. It was before midway campaign 1 because it kept
really.
running into problems.
Yeah, we used it for a while.
Oh, okay. For some reason, didn't think we used it for that long.
Never look back.
Yeah.
There's
Never
even
ever.
I use Roll 20 for my other group, so
So
it's
sorry.
I'm used to it. There's even VR tabletops in the works too, so
Mhm.
it's getting crazy out there. And once you start incorporating VR into D&D, it's wild.
Yeah, because then you could have like your character as an avatar, and people would see you as your character. I mean, that's kind of cool actually. If that's the route it goes.
Yeah, the one I posted this in the Casters and Cantrips Discord, but there is a VR virtual tabletop where there's like DM mode, right? So the DM places all the minis, players cannot see it or see it, and then when players place their minis, then it goes into like a first person mode where you are viewing the game as your mini. It's wild. It's pretty crazy.
Hmm.
That's
I
pretty
forget
crazy.
what it is, but I posted it in the Caster Cantrip Discord. But it's been a while, so it's probably hidden in there somewhere.
Mhm. I I don't know. I really enjoy using like the virtual tabletops, and I will say like they have so many tools built in, so like you don't have to use crazy like animated maps and all the shit that we do. You could just like there's tons of free maps, or you could still just draw on a grid
Mhm.
too. I just like being able to see that while you're playing online, because I know that D&D can be played with just theater of the mind for combat, but I think that there's so many abilities that become much more ambiguous on during play without having a grid, that I think it's just easier to use a grid most of the times.
It's
Otherwise, you're asking your DM constantly, "Can I do this? Can I do this?" And I don't need all those extra
yeah,
mental cycles for me anyway.
Yeah,
it's
remembering where to put a sphere or a cone or like how high up an enemy is. It's like that's a lot mentally to like try and keep track of.
Yeah, I would just make it up. I wouldn't keep track of all that if there wasn't a grid. I'd just make it up and be like, "Yeah, that seems
yeah.
fine."
I know other systems tried to utilize that, the theater of the mind. So like they have ranges, right? There's close, there's near, close, and far. Near
Mhm.
is like they're right in front of you. Close, you can run up to the person and do the thing, and far is like they're too far out of reach. But I think the visual aspects of D&D and like seeing on a grid, whether it's digital or if you have a play mat with a bunch of grids, 5x5 grids, or 1 inch. They're 1 inch mats or 1 inch squares. So like a 48 by 32, for example,
Mhm.
and having like your miniature placed down in terrain or beads or drawing whatever you're using it helps kind of build the scenery and also make it a more immersive.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's easier. I don't know if it's necessarily easier. I guess it depends on the map that you do, but then people get ideas based on what's on the map. Of course, they could also have that if there wasn't a map, but I don't know. I'm the camp. I like seeing it.
I like seeing it as well.
Yeah, and for our purposes, streaming, the animated
Very important.
maps brings a whole new level of like
Mhm.
getting not only us more immersed in it since we're online, like also for the people watching. So again, for
Yeah,
what we do, it's like a little bit extra, but yeah, you could just do a simple drawing on a grid paper, I guess.
I think too because you brought up immersion as well. I think too of using those digital tools and having like those virtual tabletops makes it much easier to incorporate some of those things. Because think about like if you were playing in person on a map and a grid. uh, For one, you can't do animated unless you incorporate digital tools and put a TV in your table,
Yeah.
right? Uh,
Which is yeah.
which is a thing, which I would love to have that, but um, I would say, but like two, it makes it much easier to incorporate some of this stuff because yeah, you could print out your maps, right, if you wanted to play in person, but I mean, you're limited to printer paper and like taping shit together, and like that seems tedious as hell. It's just super easy just to drop a little JPEG and say that's my map now. So I think that it makes immersion from the combat perspective in your environment easier in that respect.
Yeah, and being able to visualize the terrain, like you were saying before, also can help influence players in strategizing for a particular encounter. Because, you know,
Mhm.
you can have like a simple drawing of like a river on a grid paper, but when you have an animated stream with like rocks here and there's a downed tree over here, then all of a sudden there's more stuff in the environment that can be potentially used by the player, and it just like increases engagement even more, I think.
Yeah, I like because you could do the same thing with just theater of the mind, but I think seeing an initial landscape helps me come up with like more creative things to do. Like seeing an initial landscape versus just like pulling everything out of my head. That's just kind of how my brain works.
Mhm.
Not to
I think
mention
it depends.
tokens. Yeah, go ahead.
Um, well, like on in tabletop physical D&D, like there's obviously it's much faster doing virtual because you can just drag JPEGs or PNGs. Like there's a down tree here, here's a rubble building, and so forth. Where in person, either the person has to draw all that or mark it with beads or
Mhm.
whatever you're going to use, and you could still kind of have that immersion because you're. I feel like in person, you use your imagination way more than you do on virtual tabletop because on virtual tabletop, everything's kind of laid out for you.
Mhm.
Um, but you can go the super expensive route and like if you're using Dwarf Forge and have
Yeah.
all the pieces and you kind of have to pre-build everything before your session, right? And so there's more pre-planning involved, I think, with physical. Um,
I don't have that
because
kind of money.
yeah, no one's got that kind of money.
It's also a lot of time as well. Like,
Time and
Yeah.
storage space. Where are you gonna store all those? Because you could easily get out of hand trying to
Do you
store
have to
all.
paint them or do they come painted?
I believe they come pre-painted, but there are painted or blank ones that if you were
If
inclined
you
to
want
paint
to.
every single individual place. Yeah,
Interesting.
I think that's the case, but for the most part, I think they're already painted.
It looks like it. I'm just doing a quick little search.
Or if you got a 3D printer, you could just download and purchase the 3D print files and just do it yourself and paint it yourself. So
You wouldn't download a
there's
dungeon, would
options.
you? Yeah, storage. You'd have to dedicate a whole room and like for
100%.
storage, which I mean that's
That's
fine.
easy. That's easy. Just set aside one room as your hobby room, and you're done. And if you
Mhm.
have to, sleep on the couch. Make your bedroom the storage room.
Dedication right there. I think I like the digital tools for tokens as well. It's a lot easier because like everyone can have like their own like miniature and stuff like that. You're playing in person, but it it becomes cost prohibitive of buying miniatures for all your monsters for in person unless you've been playing for a long time and just accumulate them slowly.
Yep.
Like I've just gotten so used to being able to use the official art because they have the licensing for streaming and make a token out of it and say, here's the monster you're fighting.
I
So
have a box behind me full of minis and then a whole bunch more in my garage. So,
yeah,
but we've been collecting minis since, early 2000s.
yeah.
So, I mean, we got quite the collection, but there is a certain thing about having your own miniature though. When
Hmm.
you build your character a specific way, you can now go online and digitally create your mini and print it out and buy it and they'll ship it to you, or you can download the file and you can 3D print it yourself. Like there's something about customizing your own mini for your game which makes it feel special that you can't do online.
That reminds me, I need you all to make your character in Hero Forge
Yeah, there's
at some point.
another useful tool that is useful for digital and
Yeah.
physical, because you can create the token to use on your virtual tabletop, and then you
Hmm.
can purchase it unpainted, pre-painted, or just the 3D print file.
Yep. Yep. I think I don't know if I have I don't know if it's here in this, but Bun had some made on Hero Forge and had them like brought like manufactured, I guess, and mailed.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we used for our tokens for the one-shot games.
Yep.
Yeah, I just had him make it and then I'll turn it into a token.
Mhm.
But
Suppose that's a good segue into the next bullet point. I'm talking about characters,
yeah,
character management with online tools.
yeah, we
Easy.
talked about this a lot. Like not a lot, but a little bit with like the character sheet and stuff like that. Like fuck using paper, man. I don't want to. Like building a character, like managing stats has like never been easier for me. Like I'm never gonna use a fucking like pen and paper unless I have to.
Yeah, having all the relevant information for the things that your character can do with like little dialogue boxes that give you more detail about it, having access to adding gold or items just with a couple clicks is like it's nice. It's easy.
Mhm. Having it on your
It's so
phone or
convenient.
tablet, yeah. Not having to
Oh
write
yeah.
down new skills when you level up, it's all already there. But to your point, you said earlier, Boobs, you have to own all the stuff on D&D Beyond before you can
Or
make it and use it.
subscribe. I don't know what you get for subscribing, but
Not the books.
well, that
Other
that
stuff.
is that is fucked. Then
Yep. The
Yeah.
Let me look at what does this subscription get me? I think it's
Not
let
even
me
the
see.
player's handbook.
No, you get the basic rules. But yeah, you still
Mm.
gotta see.
uh, there's different tiers. There's two tiers. It's the hero tier and the master tier. Hero tier
Mhm.
subscription is about 217 a month, but unlimited. You create unlimited characters, create unlimited counters, add publicly shared homebrew content,
Mhm.
early access to new tools, and monthly subscriber perks. The master tier gets all of that, plus you can share unlocked content with other players. So that's
So
the big difference
that's
between the two.
yeah, that's what I do because in order for you all to use all the books that I have to have that tier to share with you all. So you can see all the books and stuff that I got.
But you also still have to own those books on top of it, right?
I do.
So
Yep. And I mean, it's a
that's
lot of
kind
money
of
too.
That's a lot of
yeah.
onions.
And
I
I
mean,
don't
they
have
could.
books in person that I can read through. So
I mean, if they actually wanted to be somewhat consumer friendly, then like in their master tier, they could include like the two most like important basic books, like the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master Guide, as a part of the package.
I
never
think they have
happened.
to because with the new version or the edited version, was it revised version of D&D, 1 D&D,
One D and
5.5,
D.
whatever they're calling it. They are re-releasing the Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master Guide, and the Monster Manual. So I feel like moving forward, they should include those 3 books in the subscription tier.
You're out of your mind if you think they're going to do
I
that.
I know,
You are
I know.
out of your mind.
They 100% they would get so many subscribers though if
Yeah.
they did that.
What happens if you don't subscribe anymore? You don't get access to the book.
Yeah, you lose it unless you purchase it. That's how all subscriptions work, right? So
Mm-hmm. I can't even see like like their site's so like messed up at the moment. I can't even see like the tier and like manage it or anything. Fun times. Anyway, so yeah, I do like the convenience of digital character sheets.
Mhm. Yep. And I think part of the convenience comes from, at least our experience with D&D Beyond, is it's relatively well constructed in that it's not hard to find things. Everything functions as you expect it to. You know, if it was like a really, really crappily developed like thing where it was the usability was awful, then it might not even be like at that point it's like why even use it? But
Yeah.
it is really well put together, so for the most part.
And I will say too that like for the character management standpoint, like I think D&D Beyond's like really good in that regard for a lot of their stuff. There's a couple other things that like when new stuff comes out that they were behind on, like some of like the artificer stuff and like the warlock stuff at first. But I will say like creating like custom like homebrew stuff for players is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And anything like I just hope that someone has made what I'm looking for so I can just pull it in instead of like recreating it all on my own. And there's a lot of limitations to that too. Like for example, for Hayden's like saber, right? It was basically I want a rapier, but instead I want it to slash, right? And be a saber. Cool. You cannot make that homebrew item. You cannot make just a normal item. If you're making a weapon, it has to be magical. So we had to
Yeah.
do a bunch of finagling on his character sheet just to make
It's
that possible.
just to have it on my sheet, we had to make it like a special action. It's like not
Yeah.
even a weapon. It's like an action thing.
that's the beauty of physical. You can just do that shit whenever you want on the fly, write it on your character sheet, and
Mhm.
it just works
But yeah,
because
like
what my friend does is he hands out 3x5 index cards with the custom magic item, and then he just hands it to you, and then you can add that to you write that
Yep.
into your character sheet.
like
That's
could you
what.
imagine like if they had a crate, weapon, like a drop down box with the weapon types, and you check the box for this weapon, check the box for this damage type, check the box for how many or what the damage dice is, and create it and just be able to give that to a player. Like I want a rapier, but instead of piercing, make it slashing and make it D8.
I will say for roll 20, it is way more homebrew friendly than D&D Beyond, because you can it's just a bunch of toggles and check marks, and it calculates it all for you. Where
Yeah.
I'm not even really sure how you do that in D&D Beyond.
You can do that in Foundry as well. Like kind of similarly to what you're doing for Roll20, but then it comes to the point of which is like the source of truth for your character. Is it like Is it Foundry or Roll 20? Is it D&D Beyond? Like, um, yeah. I'm trying to look at your sheet for Hayden to see like what all we had to do.
Basically, we added a rapier to my inventory, so we had the weight and the value, and then I think you just made a custom action called saber, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Cause like I basically just I renamed I think I just renamed
We renamed the actual item.
to just a rapier and then
Yeah,
added the properties to it. And then for the action, I had to make a custom like action to do the right damage type and all that stuff. So
yeah. So it's not the attack itself is not where your equipped weapons are. It's down by like where your bonus action
mhm,
is and whatnot. It's
yeah.
really weird.
Yep. But hey, you know what? We figured it out. I do like in the in person of like just having an index card and just handing it out. 'Cause that's what Zeus would do too. Like in person, he's like, "Here's your magic item." Just hand you an index card, have like a little drawing on it and stuff.
Yeah, that's fun because then you can just stash it and be like,
Hmm.
pull it out when you need to remember what it does.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It's always good
I, lo-
stuff.
I love creating custom items and stuff. My jam.
It's a big handicap for D&D Beyond. It's possible, like magic items, you can do it. They're just their interface is tedious and it sucks. It's not very streamlined, and you're having to click in and out of a whole bunch of stuff, and yeah, not fun.
Uh, digital dice or physical dice?
Physical.
Yeah, I don't trust digital dice.
Same. I
Digital
know.
is an accessibility thing, I think.
Yes,
So in that way, it's really good. But if you can roll physical, for me, I want to feel it and hear it.
and I
Yeah, I
think
get sad when my other online group uses the in-app dice, and it hurts me. I naturally instantly roll my dice, and I roll really well, and I'm like, oh damn it, I forgot I gotta click the button, and then I roll poorly in the digital, and
Mm.
it just upsets me.
yeah, I know why I know why some groups would want to use digital dice, especially if we're playing online. It's all there. It's all in front of everybody. You can see it. Don't have to worry about people like trying to fudge stuff or anything. But that's a whole other like discussion. But I think for us, because like every one of us like own like dice and we paid for dice, like I'm fine with people just rolling it and telling me, and
I
just
bought dice
doing
when
it
I
that
found
way.
out that
Yeah.
you were gonna have me play with you. I was like, awesome! I can buy dice now. That's cool.
And then we had,
I
Yeah.
have
and
a
then we
reason to
would
buy
have
dice.
these awesome custom made dice from one of our fans.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And I would say too, like, and there's always the argument like, well, your dice are never gonna be perfectly balanced. Like, who fucking cares? Like, unless it's egregious, like it's not gonna matter in the long run anyway, more often than not. And the only way you're gonna get actual weighted dice is going to like, or actual like balanced dice is going to Vegas and like, rolling some of their dice. But I think it's such
Well,
a
that's only
minuscule,
D6s, right? They don't make
yeah,
any
it's not
other
such a minuscule
balanced
like
dice.
thing. Like most of the time it's not gonna matter unless it's made not to matter. But I
yeah.
mean, there's a lot of stuff with like digital dice. Like there's like Discord bots. You just tell it what to do. Like there's like what you said, D&D Beyond. You just click your sheet and say, hey, swing my sword, and it'll add everything up for you if you want it. Same thing with like all the digital tools, like with Foundry or Roll 20. It can add up everything for you. So that's I think a definite positive, especially if you hate math. Just say, I want to click this, and you tell me what the numbers are.
Yeah, just even I have a dice app on my phone when I forgot my dice, and it's just like easy peasy.
Yeah. The only time I will use a digital dice roller is especially like later on in campaign 1 where there were enemies that were doing like super high level spells. It's like I don't have like 12d6 in front of me right now, and I don't want to like tear up all my dice and like find all the d6s. Like I'm just going to roll this in a dice roller just for convenience.
Yep.
It's the enemy's rolls. It doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, they don't count. Yeah, they don't count. But
Should we move on to integration of art and music?
yeah, I don't I don't think that this is mutually exclusive to playing online, but it's also really easy to have like a playlist and set up and just go so everybody can hear it online. And you can do this in
Mm.
person, just turn on a radio or whatever, or get a Bluetooth speaker. Um, I think it's easier. Like if I wanted to give you all like handouts digitally, I can do that too via the game. Of just like if I wanted to show you a locale or like something like that, I could just do that instead of having to print something off and hand it to you. I like being able to share stuff like in the off chance because I've shared stuff with each of you all. Like with the Ixius, like I actually made like a little letter, like gave it to you all, or when I made that crude hand drawn map in campaign one of like the dungeon you were about to go into. I think that was nice being able to do that without having to print it off and mail it to you.
I think it works in both cases because in my in-person group, everyone has a tablet, so they can like, oh, here's what this looks out and it looks like, and then they show off the tablet or the laptop.
Mhm.
But we also have a whiteboard because my DM likes to like draw stuff or what like symbols look like, and kind of just like he's also really good at drawing, so he can just like boop, and this is what that is, or um, yeah. So just like physical and digital, it's super easy just to share and show stuff, or even just like if he makes a printout
Mhm.
or a PDF, he just DMs us all in Discord, and we all take a look at it on our own devices.
I think that it's harder for me to improvise on the spot online. If someone's like, "Hey, what's that symbol look like?" There's no way in hell I'm drawing it. I'm just going to describe it. Like, because first of all, I'm left-handed and I'm not great at drawing. Second of all, if you want me to draw anything with my right hand with my mouse, it's going to look like shit. So don't even bother.
As a lefty, I learned how to draw with the mouse on my right hand, so it's kinda we kinda have to do it.
Yeah.
Unless you have a tablet or, a Cintiq or, a
Yeah.
bamboo thing, yeah, that's the only way.
Mhm.
I don't. Yeah, you guys. I don't have any thoughts on that one. I think you guys pretty much covered it.
I think it just works for both, like, you can easily have a laptop that has a playlist, or you could just like, if you're in person, you just need speakers and go to YouTube and boom, there you go. Music's ready to go. I think that
Mhm.
is the difference between because we're online, we can't use copyrighted music and licensed
Yeah.
music unless, Max specifically pays for it. The advantage of being in person is you could play any RPG song from any game because you're just playing in person for fun.
Mhm.
I think that's more of a hesitation because we're live streaming.
Yep.
Because if we weren't live streaming, we could do the same thing online. It's just
And
I don't want things to get VODs muted and get copyright claims and all that shit. It's not fun.
Yeah, I've got to be careful.
Mhm.
we talked about online dice rollers. We all hate it, so
We all like, nope, we don't like it. But it's
You
fine if
touched.
you like it. It's totally okay if you want to do it. That's totally fine.
You touched briefly on remote gaming. Is there any? I mean,
yeah, it comes with a little bit of a cost, right? Because
Mhm.
for my in-person group, more multiple occasions, someone couldn't make it down for whatever reason, and wanted to remote in, and so we have a laptop. My friend has a laptop. I have a lot of webcams already, so we just hooked up a webcam and just play that way. And we just put the webcam down. If I had more time and a better setup, I would have multiple cameras. Uh, for like, well, here's the battle map, and here's so you can watch all of us, and then we can see you as well. So when we play, we don't see who's ever remoting in
Mhm.
because of limitations, but it
Wait.
works. It's probably not the best because obviously we're in person and we're playing battle music or ambient music, or we're just laughing and joking and having a good time, and everyone's talking over each other. So in that aspect, remote gaming is not the best because there's just a lot of noise on their end, and I don't have like a good microphone setup where they can hear all that stuff. So those are the one of the challenges of when we have people remote in is just unable to hear things. And with the stupid auto settings Discord has with what they do with like sound reduction, all that stuff, sometimes it gets cut out or really muddy.
I've been in that scenario. So after Bun like moved to live with me, she was still playing in her game, and then got invited to that game too. So it was about 5 or 6 people like in office playing, and then it was me and her online with one camera at the map and one camera at everybody else. I will say you either need to be all online or all in person, because like mixing it up like half and half is so hard to do. Um,
People forget you're
and
there too. If
yeah,
you know,
even if you have the camera pointed at the map, it's hard to see sometimes. Yeah, I think it has to be all or nothing in either direction, because in the middle is kind of like the worst of both worlds, to be honest, in my
I
opinion.
I find that the people who are on the remote side have a harder time focusing as well because they're not
Hmm.
there in the moment.
It's
But
easier
I
if
don't know. It's
everyone's remote.
the
Yeah.
necessity for our group because we have a rather large group, like uh 9 people, including the DM, which is massive group. Don't recommend it. But it works. It
Yeah.
works for us because we don't want to have multiple groups going on. So we just want everyone to hang out. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Just tell them to pack up and get down there, or they miss out.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it has to be one or the other. In the middle is sad times. I think the next one we haven't talked about, which is what I like about being online so much, is the digital resources for DMs. My God. So one of my favorite things that D&D Beyond implemented, it's still in beta, um is their encounter creator, or their encounter builders, what they call it. So nice for me. Whether you believe in CR or not, it's fine. But essentially, what you'll do is you can connect it to your campaign. So I can say, oh, create new encounter. Okay, what players are included in this encounter? I can remove some, and you'll say, okay, you have 5 players of level 4, whatever, and then you can just search for monsters and just hit add, however many you want to. And then it'll tell you like if this is like an easy, like a medium, a hard, or deadly encounter. It'll tell you how much, if we were doing XP, it'd tell you how much XP they get, like all that stuff. I would hate having to build encounters any other way. um that for me, when they released that, was just like a godsend for me, because I was trying to use like Cobalt Fight Club before it closed down, or some of its like other things that propped up because it went down. I just find it so much easier to build encounters that way. And then now I have a tool that I can import my encounters into Foundry. So it imports all the tokens, it imports all the combats, has all their abilities, their HP right there, and just makes it easy for me. I couldn't imagine like keeping track of everyone's HP on a piece of paper for every single monster and remembering which monster had which initiative. Like, I don't know. That doesn't sound fun to me.
I mean, that's just. I mean, I did that for our one shot. Yeah, I had it all
Yeah.
in my notebook, so I didn't track it in the app. I tracked it on my notepad. I mean, if you have a notebook or a notepad, it does take a little longer, but it was fine for me. I didn't really have a problem.
Oh, this one is Giant Snake number 5. Which one was number 5? Oh, yeah, it's this one that looks the same as the other
Yeah,
ones.
that's true. That's true. There's that. I'm trying to remember what minion and what position it is
Mhm.
tied to the name you gave it inside your mind.
Yeah, automated initiatives. Nobody has to like write it down. All I do is just ask you and I input it. I mean, y'all could probably input it too if you wanted to, but I think it's just easier that way, so everyone still hears it online, but or on the stream. Makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Um, Looking up like spells or abilities, or like I don't know. It's just, for me, it makes it so much easier just having everything in front of me, my fingertips. I'll just quickly look up shit while we're playing. Whereas in person, you just have to make a ruling. Everyone have to be happy with it. And I do the same thing like in our game, where if I can't find it quickly, I'm like, we're just gonna say this for now. But
Yeah, I think well, that's because, we're streaming, but if we were
Hmm.
just playing for funsies, like, I don't think anyone would mind if we took the time to look up a rule. It was easy to look up, so we're all in front of our computers.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, even in person, I'm like, "Oh, we'll worry about later." It's like, especially with, like, my large group,
Yeah.
kinda just we just skip a lot of the legal mumbo jumbo and just go with it, and then worry about it later.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on what you were saying, Max, I can visualize it for myself if I somehow had to DM something. I I couldn't be bothered to like have enemies in a notebook or like try to remember
Yeah.
who went where and all, like having resources at my fingertips that I can do it and look stuff up in seconds and change things on the fly, add markers, add spell effects.
Yeah.
I'm, I mean, you do all that like even if we have a battle with a lot going on, it's our characters versus like 10 people, and there's somebody dropped a fireball here, so you mark it out. Somebody does something over here, you measure it out. It's like all
Hmm.
pretty much instantly and really easy.
Yeah. I like it. That's part of what makes the game easier, especially even just having like the virtual tabletop like track HP for all of like the monsters. Just I'll be like, hey, you did 14 damage. I will do 14 minus, and it just does it all for me.
Even
Takes
something
care of
as
it.
simple as like putting the numbers to tell if it's like uh 10 feet up or like 5 feet
Yeah,
down, and just like elevation changes is just attaching a number to a token. It's like really easy and helps out the
conditions.
players immensely.
Yeah,
Like,
that is probably one of the harder things in person is height. You use whatever is around you. Oh, my guy's 10 feet up. Well, I have an empty soda can, so my guy's on top of a soda can. He's 30 feet up.
hmm.
I know there's like stuff you can buy where you can scale things and it will do
Hmm.
correctly increments of 5, but that's again a money investment.
Yeah,
Um, like our group bought these tools for spell radiuses. So it's like here's a 50-foot cone, 30-foot cone,
little
here's a
templates.
fireball circle, like, and we just plop it on the mat, and then so we can easily because before we had had to count out squares, all right, and then put a pen
Hmm.
down. It's like, all right, that's 15 feet there,
Well,
that's 15
then you
there.
run into the thing is like you're putting it on top of the mini, and it's not actually
Yep.
on the ground, and like that kind of stuff.
That's the other little thing that I like too, is a detail that you have with your maps is if half the party is like inside of a building and the other half's outside, and there's one door that leads in,
Hmm.
the party on the inside, those players can see everything inside the building, but the players on the
Hmm.
outside, you're able to black our screens out except for the sliver which we could actually see. And that adds
Hmm.
a whole other element for us and for the audience too.
Yep.
It's like it's really nice. And then somebody same thing when somebody casts light spell or has a torch or something, and how that changes like shadows and enemies behind,
Yeah, that
a
is another
shadow.
thing
Yeah.
for sure. Because like I remember like playing with like just like a grid. If the DM didn't want you to see something, you put a piece of paper over it.
Yep,
And
pretty
that's pretty
much.
much it. But you really like that's something I didn't even think of is like you really can't simulate like light and dark vision and torches very easily at all. But for us, it was built in, and then I installed a mod for torches and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's something I didn't think of.
And there's any like number of ways that you can flavor it too, because you've had it where, oh, somebody's light spell actually casts blue light, and you just for funsies able to make the light blue. And I don't know, there's just a bunch of neat things that you can do that are relatively easy comparative to like an analog version of that.
Yeah.
And it's just
Well, yeah. I mean, that's a good jumping point to mods. Like Max, you were just telling me
Oh
you
yeah.
updated Forge and gained access to all these tools you added to the virtual tabletop. You want to talk about the stuff that you use?
Yeah, for sure. And I think too, speaking of light, like one of the mods I just added helps with light. So like any character can click on this little thing on their avatar and say, I want to use a torch. You can even get as granular as like it'll remove a torch from their inventory, but We don't use Foundry for inventory management. But like if someone has access, like Hayden's character has access to like a hooded lantern that's actually built in now. So you can actually use the hooded lantern and make it 5 feet or make it an actual lantern. Or like I made Taj's and Azric's light because I can cast light and actually show up on the map now where it's like purple as well. Just to give a little some funness. But I will
Do we
say
get to toggle that, or you toggle it?
you can.
Oh,
I'll teach y'all next
sick.
time. I'll show y'all after this if you want. Let me find my modules. Where am I installed? Yeah, so you don't have to do like I went fucking ham. I have 41 modules installed.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
One of them is like a vision mod. So now if your character has dark vision, it'll make everything gray where they can see because they can't see color in dark vision. There's stuff to add the effects, like if you see rain or like snow or other stuff. There's a mod that I added that allows you to have height to the walls. There's a mod that I added that it can incorporate like difficult terrain. I can mark something as difficult terrain and it will like make the movement utilize that. All kinds of like crazy stuff like auras for your token. Made it now to when you drag, it'll automatically tell you how far you're dragging, like in a number of feet with your character. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think we saw that last session, live streamed that the chat saw the dark vision circles. So yeah, when I saw that on my character, I was like, oh, this is super cool because yeah, because dark vision you don't see color, it's just grayscale. So I was like, it was pretty awesome seeing that on the map.
A mod to ride mounts now as well, to actually get onto a mount and control the mount and stuff like that. All kinds of stuff. Like conditions, crazy things.
I need Bun Bun to turn into a horse and test that.
Or she could turn it into a dolphin or something, and you can just run around.
Yeah, she'll have to draw some of her animal forms for that. But yeah, I have a lot of like utility mods just for me to be able to use to make things easier. One thing that I added too, just for Foundry, is like popping stuff out now. You can pop stuff out into its own window if you want, which is cool. But yeah, I spent a lot of time. A lot of the ships and stuff that I have are a specific mod that connects to Patreon with other people that I sub to for Patreon for, I think it's Bailey Wiki. And I'm still working this out, but a lot of those ships are multi-level so that you could go down below the ship and still have it work. It'll actually teleport you to a map where it's the down below, but people that are above will still see you if they can like have eye line into it. Like it's crazy what you can do. I've just like scratched the surface just to make my life easier, but all kinds of crazy stuff for mods. The only downside is having to keep them updated, and you know, if the mod maker hasn't kept it up to date with like the latest like version, then stuff can break. But pretty rare where you just can't find a replacement easily. So yeah, tons of mods to be able to use, which really enhance it. And there's a huge modding community for, I think, for Foundry especially. Tons of people making all kinds of crazy mods. Not just for D&D either, but for any of the systems they support. Tons of mods.
Yeah, hopefully.
Go ahead.
Yes. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna ask Max a little like behind the scenes question. How when you're toying around with all those mods and creating like maps and stuff, how long do you think? I guess I should ask it this way. When we first started with like campaign 1 and you were doing all this, and with everything you've added since, how much faster is it for you now to set things up versus 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever?
Roll20 sucked for me because I had to fight it more often than not to do what I wanted. Foundry was great for me. Took a lot of learning. For doing maps, it's easy, like especially animated. You just say, "Hey, what's your background?" and you feed it like the file, like whatever file format it's in. You just say, "Here's the file," and it just loads it behind your grid, and then that's it. And you can just duplicate scenes, so you can use the same grid over and over, so it's the same size, so you can make it really easily. Some of the ocean stuff, I've been toying around with making like wider maps as well, so that I can actually fit the boats for the proper size that they're supposed to be for you all. So some cool stuff coming there. But yeah, to make an encounter, I'll look at a map, I'll import it, I'll put the characters on it, I'll make an encounter on D&D Beyond, figure out what monsters I'm using, and then I'll use my tool to import my encounter, and it'll pull in all the tokens, and then I'll pre-roll initiative, and then it's good to go. Doesn't take too terribly long. I think the thing that takes me the longest now is finding a map that I want to use. It's appropriate for that situation. Because searching through like 8 different Patreons that I use for maps, there's no easy to search through all of them at once. It's like search here, okay, next tab, search here, okay, next. Like that's what takes a long time.
So do you have like a certain set of maps aside for random encounters?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Like a lot of like generic stuff that you've probably seen in campaign 1, where it's just like you're at a camp, or like you're in a forest, or like you're somewhere. There's plenty that I just kind of have stashed that I'll just pull in depending on what's happening. Like for like for this campaign, it's like, okay, you're on a boat and you're in the ocean. Like that's an easy like boilerplate, and if something happens in the ocean, then I can just add stuff to it, like these monsters or this stuff. So it's pretty easy for that.
And I imagine, given the setting, like you can expect a lot of locations to be like, here's a tropical beach, or here's a
Mhm.
jungle, or here's a
Yeah,
mountain. So
that's
probably.
that's what I was about. Like campaign 1 is I had a lot of like winter, like snow themed stuff, and I swear like a month before we finished campaign 1, all these creators like, let's do snow stuff. It's like, God, I needed this like a month ago. But yeah, like I'll look and like find just like so the way it works on Forge, which is what hosts our Foundry, is I have like a folder of assets of just maps that are already loaded in there. I can be like, where's like the coastal one? I can just use that one for this. So I try not to repeat maps if I can help it, but it just depends.
I mean, you're just gonna have to send us to a snowy area just to use those new snow maps.
Mm-mm. Nope.
Just make us summit the tallest mountain on an island. And
Yeah.
Dream sequence fight. It's
Yeah.
snowy.
Yeah. Snowfall in the tropical archipelago of Erebos.
Yes.
Could happen. Could happen.
So you'll have like a resort like you had in campaign 1, except it's reverse. It's like a Winter Wonderland resort.
Yeah, ski lodge.
Yeah. Wizard manufactured ski lodge.
They just have like mages whose entire job it is to just cast like snow on the slopes all day long. Just constantly cast snow.
Yeah, there's artificers making like contraptions and stuff to do it, and yeah. Yep.
There you go. One shot idea.
There you go.
I think if we make it ever get like up there, right? Like Critical Role or Mesh 20, all those awesome shows. But we had like an on-set session. I think that would be very interesting because we're so used to being digital. But if we had like a set and a table, and then everyone had a tablet in front of them, and then Max, I don't know how you would have 3 monitors up while trying to look at us at the same time. But
So I've thought about this in my head actually. So the way that I would do it is I would want a gaming table with a TV that was like inset into it, so we could use the same maps and the same interface and just show you all where things are. The only thing that would change is I'd have to move things for you, as opposed to you moving it yourself online and keeping
Right.
track of it. But you could have your tablets with all the D&D Beyond stuff, and then instead of a DM screen, I would just have 3 monitors instead.
That's true.
Wouldn't be any different than a DM screen, and then just kind of keep them a little lower, and then I would just use the computer the same way I do now to look stuff up.
That's the
Super
dream.
cool.
If we ever get there in a couple years or so.
Yeah, and then everybody just gonna have to up and move and pick a
Yeah.
location.
We just have the D&D house. Everyone,
Sure.
it'll just be a massive property with smaller ADUs. I don't know.
Like a commune, a D&D commune.
The casters and
Mm.
cantrips compound, so we'll call it. A fortress.
Oh boy.
Fun times.
Casters and Cantrip Keep.
Yeah,
Boom.
there you go.
We'll spell keep with a C. So everyone will just say seep. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I can't think of anything else I want to bring up about digital tools versus real life or anything. I think we pretty
Yeah.
much covered it.
I think it's just technology so integrated with our lives nowadays. It's just even if I would think it would be unheard of for in-person groups to be 100% pure analog, like just books, papers. No one's using any device for looking up things or character tracking or dice rolling. Just
I will say in the in-person game that was running like every other Sunday, I was the only person that used anything digital. Everyone else was character sheet, pens, papers, books, all that kind of stuff. So I ruined it.
Mm.
It's all my fault. But anyway, yeah, I think that'll wrap it up for us this evening. Thanks for listening. If you have any opinions on digital versus in person or what tools you use, maybe we missed one, just like feel free to let us know. Drop them in the comments or throw them in our Discord if you haven't looked at our Discord as well. We'll drop those in the appropriate places. But with that being said, if you have ideas of things that you want us to talk about for Tome Knowledge, right there in our Discord, there is a section that is called
Tome Knowledge Topics.
Thank you. Tome of Knowledge Topics. So you can put your ideas and stuff out there underneath the little Let's Chat folder and just give us some ideas. But with that being said, Fun Bun Art stream tomorrow. And then Friday will be episode 11. Episode 11, I think.
Yeah, 10? 11. I don't know.
It's I am almost certain that it is 11. I just don't have my notes in front of me, but
Somewhere around there.
yeah.
Ye-
It's 10.
It's 10. Yeah.
No, it's 11. Sorry. I said it's 10 because I was listening to you. It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's like I edited episode 10. Yeah, it's 11. 100%. Episode 11. So watch us on Friday. And if you don't have a chance to watch us, then check out the VOD afterwards or listen to the podcast. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night, and we'll see you later.
Peace.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.